How you doing, Wendy?
I am hanging in there. How about you?
Same thing. This is all new territory for all of us. And if you are coming on the broadcast and you are here today to just kind of get a little focused. I know not every clinic is doing Zoom coaching, so I thought we would share a little love this morning and kind of answer a couple of questions. So give us a thumbs up, tell us where you're from, and on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not so great and 5 being perfectly okay, where are you at? So let us know how you guys are doing. So one of the things I've been seeing online, Wendy, is a lot of people posting tons of alcohol pictures, tons of baking pictures, things we do when we're bored, we're mindless, we're stressed. Let's talk about that for a minute. What's your advice?
Oh, my stars. Well, here's what I know is that the struggle has got to be real because I do not I don't have alcohol on a regular basis. It's just a personal choice, and I don't bake a lot of foods regularly because, I always say, Wendy is going to eat what Wendy bakes. Right? And it scares me. This morning I was getting like we're in this open-ended time frame situation, right? We don't even know when the end is actually honestly going to be in sight, and that is scary in and of its own right. And when I was getting ready this morning to talk to you, which I was really excited about, I thought, I feel like really we're living the real life version of that very dramatic game. Would you rather do this or this, right? And if you think about it, so I was standing there in my bathroom doing my hair, and I'm like, okay, would I rather, come out on the other side of the pandemic very close to, my maintenance weight, feeling good, having done, right by myself and my family and, all things more on the positive side, or would I rather give in to momentary temptation, eat 22 of the 2 dozen cookies I made, consume excessive alcohol and other things, and just be just devastated. I mean, to me, it would be devastating to go back into old habits and end up where I really don't want to be if I call myself out in that really kind of dramatic situation of would you rather this or this, right? Because you think I would definitely rather be on the right side of that scenario. And I'm just doing everything I can to encourage everybody, just like you are, Renee. Thank you.
So tell people, not a lot of people know my story. I've been 200 pounds 3 times in my life, but tell people a little bit about your story and why you became a health coach.
Okay, sure. It was back in January of 2016. I'd had the same medical provider at that point for 13 years. I still have her as a medical provider today. She's actually a referral source for my clinic now. Um, I weighed 276.4 when I had my physical with her in January of 2016. And she's always been a straight shooter, which I love. And she said, if we continue with what we're doing this year, Wendy, you're going to be pre-diabetic by the time we do your blood work again. Even though I was significantly overweight and really unhealthy, I was so good about getting physicals. I hadn't received that alarming health diagnosis yet. And it's so crazy. I hadn't really connected my change with the Ideal Protein Protocol with having received that kind of soft diagnosis of prediabetes, which I know now as a health coach, that can be an alarming call to action and a trigger for somebody to just straighten up and start taking control of their health. until I was talking with somebody earlier this week, and they're like, "Oh, so that was your moment," and I was like, "Oof, I guess it was." It's so crazy what I don't connect the dots on. But I ended up just like half of our patient population knowing somebody else who was doing something to regain their health. And I'd seen her on Facebook. She lives in Georgia. It's my husband's cousin. She was doing really well losing weight, and it was middle of the year of 2016. And I had been trying to lose some weight, like my doctor had basically prescribed. And I had recently put back on 30 of the 25 pounds I lost, and I was feeling so defeated. And I reached out to her, and she introduced me to Ideal Protein. And since then, my only, I wish I would have done this different, was I waited so long to start because I was so skeptical. I was so jaded with weight loss that I took about 2 months to really say, okay, I do have it in me to do this. When you do the math and try to figure out how long the treatment will take, and for me it was 9.5 months, that to be an exhausting number. But I quickly thought, I've got a vacation 10 months from now that it was actually going to be in Colorado. So, you go up to Colorado, no matter what the season, you're going to be active, right? And there was no denying I had definitely kind of sidelined myself in the way of physical activity with just my weight, and all that meant for my health. I committed, and, fast forward 9.5 months later, I was down 120 pounds. And
Wow.
thus my passion for Ideal Protein was born.
I love that story, and it's I think the thing that most people struggle with is, how am I going to keep the weight off? And we've all been on a million billion diets. I've done everything from OptiFast to Weight Watchers to Jenny Craig to Nutrisystem to running 20 miles a week. I've done it all, and there was a certain point at which it wasn't Ideal Protein that did it for me, but I did do a ketogenic style diet, and it just clicked in my mind that my body cannot handle carbs and sugars. The only way I'm going to keep this weight off is to permanently remove those things and be okay with it. So, for me, that was the turning point. And it took me from, I gained all my weight in my early 20s. So it took me another 15 years to, have that epiphany of, struggling all the time. And I think, a lot of people struggle all the time. So love your story. When I came across Ideal Protein as a product, I had done it and I only lost like 13 pounds because I didn't have the 65 pounds anymore, but I was starting to, we all have those little creepy moments. I'm having one of them right now. I've gained about 4 pounds over the last 5-6 weeks. My boyfriend retired, and we've been eating out way too much. I'm off of my regular routine, and then all the stress from all of this and changing our business style and the whole thing.
Right.
And maybe 4 pounds doesn't sound like a lot, but when my window is 4 to 7 pounds, that means I'm really on the wrong side of the tracks.
You're getting warmer, right?
Yeah. And so, for me, yes, there's been a ton of mindless eating, sitting around doing nothing, or I'm busy all day long. I have lots of things to do,
Right.
but I think it's just being at home. So, you're not in your office environment, or you're not doing what you normally do. And, just somehow eating way more meals. I eat when I'm not hungry. So, who's experiencing that out there? Tell us what your questions are. Post on there. I saw that Dee said, good morning. I'm doing about a 4.5 right now, which is awesome. That means you're at the top of the scale. And because no one's influencing her decisions except her at home. So it's been good for her. She's been able to, really focus on self-care. Check in with us if you're, I think if you're not, if you haven't been on Be Live before, it doesn't give me your name, but that's okay. We don't need your name. Give us a shout out. Tell us where you're from, what you're experiencing right now, and we'll walk everybody through it. So we're going to be doing this on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'll be inviting different guests on 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 11 a.m. East Coast time. All right, so now let's talk about when you have a slip up, when you have a moment. This is real life. This is not perfect. And I think that sometimes people think that they're the only one that slipped up. Everybody else is on plan, and it's me over here, being a loser. Talk about your 9.5-month journey and then on into maintenance. How did you handle a slip up, and how do you handle it today?
Well, good question. So, to this day, it blows my mind that I hung in there, okay? And it's all the pieces of the ideal protein puzzle. You can't shortchange yourself at all on the experience in any of the three phases, because it's this very tight ecosystem of this leads to that, and it's very circular. And so I'll be honest.
Please.
I had what I call, and there's a couple people out there, if they see this video, they're going to laugh because they know what I'm talking about. I had, I started in September. I legitimately, no joke, hung in there until the middle of April. And then I had what I call the croissant incident of 2017. And, I'm very active in my community. The farmers market was up and going. And, for an extended period, 7.5 months, I, had been charting the course in phase one, mainly because the results are phenomenal and I was feeling amazing. But there was that moment, that I now refer to as like staring down the eye of the carrot cake. Okay. And I did it. I had purchased a croissant from the farmer's market. I had it. It was the first time ever in my relationship with food, and all my decades of relationship with food, that I felt pain, that there was no longer the emotional satisfaction. And it was emotional, right? It was like, okay, what did I actually think I was going to get out of that? Because I can tell myself right now I didn't get it, right? That was not worth it. OMG, right? And so, it's one of those things. I say I take a lesson from my dog. I kick some grass over that stuff and move on, right? We can't dwell on it. But I am a silver linings person, and the beauty, if you have to have that deviation experience, you're gonna have to feel the pain, and that's what creates education and change, right? Because I can guarantee you, it's not going to fill the void or the emotion or provide you the satisfaction that you thought it would. It's kind of like when you are planning a vacation and you give yourself, I've got a vacation in a year from now. It's all the anticipation leading up to it, because then in the blink of an eye, you have your vacation, the vacation's over, and then you're back to the daily grind. So there's almost more satisfaction living in anticipation of an indulgence than the actual indulgence these days for me, which, like for you, it took 15 years of evolution with your relationship with food to be in a place where you could say, actually, I don't need those things. They don't provide me what I used to connect that with, so all I can say is when you have those moments and you've done something is non-compliant with food or beverage, do not live in the moment. Absolutely do not use it as a catalyst to continue down that path and make other poor decisions. Whether it's, it's easier, the more you make, there's two paths, right? We can make the right choice or the wrong choice with our food. Whatever path you choose, it's easier to keep going down that path, okay? And so no matter how hard it is, I encourage everybody to try and make that right choice. But if that's not the case in the moment, you've got to call yourself on it. It's such a circular experience, and you have to just get right back to center, because aside from, the physical repercussions of deviation and or overindulgence, I know personally, emotionally, I find when I am indulging and having sugars and carbohydrates, it's harder emotionally for me to deal with my general stress life, right? My stresses may not, catapult to this astronomical level, but even from an emotional perspective, it affects the way that I'm existing,
I totally agree with you. And the one thing I talk a lot about with my clients is there is only one thing that you are in control of, and it's right here. It's right here. That's it. And, the world is swirling around you, and it's going to keep swirling around you. And there's always, who knew we would have a pandemic, but there's always going to be something that's going to come our way. And, if we have this in control, if we're centered here, if we have that, if we can be somewhat zen about the things that are flying at us, then we can be a better mom, we can be a better business person, a better wife, a better partner, just a better human on the street with a smile on our face. Because when we feel good about what's happening inside of ourselves, when we can look in the mirror and say, you know what, I really like you, then we can, it does, there is a certain amount of we have to make change in order to get to that place. And, for me, I did a lot of counseling. I've read a ton of books. I listen to good for me stuff all the time, and I still do. There's not a point at which we stop learning how to be better human beings and how to love ourselves better or like ourselves any better. And, maybe you can speak to that for a minute.
I absolutely can. One of the things that this journey has taught me is not only how to receive a compliment, because I realized I struggled with that, how to graciously receive a compliment and take in that compliment and enjoy the victory of that compliment, but it's also simply being proud of myself. I did a video the other day, and I put out there, I'm proud of myself. And I wouldn't have said that 4 or 5 years ago just because that wasn't my spirit, Even if I felt proud of myself, we've got to recognize, we've got to give credit where credit is due. And oftentimes we leave ourselves off of that list, okay? And, so maybe I haven't been truly 100% what I want to be doing in the pandemic time, very close to what I want to be doing, close enough to where I said out loud I was proud of myself. And you know what? I am. And it makes me feel good to say that. It makes me feel good to recognize that and pat myself on the back, because I know how I'm trying, okay? And when you're out there trying and you're making these mindful decisions, especially in this crazy time, you need to give yourself props. It's always so easy for us to go, well, I did this, and just highlight where we aren't doing 100%, or, well, I'm here, but I really want to be here. Well, let's just recognize, okay? Let's recognize and appreciate that we're where we're at and all of the effort that it's taken to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. And where we started at. So, we forget where we started at, because like now, it's been 3 years since you, lost 120 pounds. So it's hard when you can beat yourself up over 10 pounds and, and it's like, wait a second, where did I come from? Who was I 3 years ago? And really that's what we have to really look at. So let's pop this up here. Dee says, last week I was baking all week for my family. My 19 and 15-year-old asked me to stop. They did not want it or need it. It is so easy to break hard habits of what you associate care with. So yes, a lot of moms associate cooking comfort foods with caring about their family. She said, I know better. I know they don't need it. So why was I doing it? Yeah, that's old stuff. And, it may date even back to your mom, Dee, when she, that's what she did for her family, and that's what you learned to do for your family. And it's interesting because I was watching you post your waffles, and I was thinking, So yeah, thanks for sharing with us. Sorry that I have this bright light over here. I can't seem to get away from the sun. Someone else here says, good morning. So lovely to see you, gorgeous ladies. Thank you. It has been a stressful time, just like for everyone else, I'm sure. I've been working from home for almost 2 weeks. Our store has been pandemic planning for over a month. Our store shoots. Okay. And I'm fortunate that I was already set up to work from home. My challenge has been that I have had my days where I have been going between cooking, cleaning, laundry, breaking fights between the kids and working, that I forgot to eat or that I just don't want to eat. The past week has been the past week has been better, and I'm trying to have more patience with the kids and bring food with me to the office. It's getting better. I even got on my treadmill yesterday. Good for you. Yes, we can, when everybody else is, at home with us and we're not used to spending our whole day a lot of times with the kids, and they're not used to having to be home, and so you have all these pressures and stresses, and maybe your husband's at home at the same time that you're at home, and everybody's trying to still do some work, get the schoolwork done. It's stressful.
Absolutely. It is. And there's no harm in and I share this a lot in my coaching. When people don't take that time, it's a barrier, right? They don't feel like they've got the time to be compliant, from a food consumption timeline perspective. Not that there's a really stringent timeline on it, but we can't go 8 hours in between breakfast and lunch, right? So if what we have to do is set our phone alarm and, say, okay, lunch break, even if it's just 5 minutes, I would prefer it be 15. We're making an investment in our health, and are we worth 15 minutes? Absolutely, yes, we are. Nothing is going to come crashing down around us in that 15 minutes. It can be very restorative. We're not supposed to have our 15 minutes still sitting at our desk, typing with one hand. It's a it's a get up, get away from where you've been tethered. Grab your healthy lunch, your healthy snack, refresh your water. Step outside, just get into a different space and soak up that 15 minutes, and it could lead to a little bit more time. But I absolutely understand. I think that's what a lot of people are going to be dealing with is, how do I create balance with my new norm without just going insane?
Yeah, and it, this isn't going away quickly. So, the thing to do, I think, is, and this is what I've had to do for myself, is you can use your telephone to set alarms for yourself so that you know when to eat. And like Wendy said, if it's 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes, but really, maybe you can just step away and take that 15 minutes to mindfully eat. So I do use my alarm a lot on my telephone. I use it for meetings. I use it for eating. A lot of times I even have to put in my calendar what I set the alarm for.
I do. I have to name the alarm. I'll be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, what was that for? So yeah, super important. And last but not least in our topics today, willpower. Having the willpower to push through. Where do you find that from? Speak on that, Wendy.
Okay. Well, we know by now it's not an infinite resource, right? And, it's something that we have to try and head off at the pass. And so whether that looks like, not buying those things from the grocery store or ordering it for grocery pickup, right? We got to keep it out of the house if we can keep it out of the house. If it's just making that food choice, the right food choice in the moment, and telling yourself, it's amazing to me when I'm reflecting on my journey, how many times I bought myself out of situations just by making it a futuristic opportunity, right? If I'm going to eat this, which is compliance, if I still want that in an hour, I'll reconsider it. And oftentimes when I've eaten, I was satisfied. I proved to myself, okay, yes, when I'm eating properly and getting in my vegetables and my ideal protein at lunch, it definitely, diffuses that bomb that was about to go off. So I kind of keep everything futuristically an opportunity, because I feel like then I'm still exercising free will. One of the things that really helped me in my journey, when I read Dr. Tran's book, Because It's Your Life, he says there's two ways we can go about this. And it's all our mental aspect. Is it victim mentality? Are we playing the victim? Are we feeling victimized by having to make the healthy choice? Or is this something that we want for ourselves and our families and those we love? So just check your mentality, and, like I said, distance yourself from those foods that are trigger foods. It's as simple as that. It's never going to go away, right? That's never going away. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, we're always going to be saddled with tough food choices intermittently, more so sometimes others than not. And it just helps if we can make that right food choice. And if we want to consider coming back to whatever that was, even tomorrow, I like to give myself the permission to do it tomorrow. That's what I do.
And that's okay. That's one thing I do tell my clients, and we both know that journaling is a lifetime habit. So those people that journal, not only do they lose faster, they lose more, they keep their weight off. So, one of the things about journaling is that it lets you know when you're done. It's like, okay, I've logged my breakfast, I've logged my snack, I've logged my lunch, I've logged my dinner. I really want that other snack at night. But then you look and you go like, whoa, no, I'll be okay. I'll have that tomorrow. And just like you said, I like the term you used. What did you say? It's your own choice. You said something like that.
Right.
Your free will. Yeah, I love that. Your free will, because one of the things, and I have a really good friend who said to me, we were talking about, she struggles, and every probably 2 years she has kind of crept all the way back up, so then she has to take it all back off again, and it's 30 pounds or so. And one of the things that she said to me the last time she decided to go, to lose weight and get healthy. And I said, if you need me to help you, I'm happy to help you. And she said, you know what I know, Renee? For me, being on a restrictive plan is the worst thing I can do for myself, because I get to feeling like I'm too deprived. If I just do this over a longer period of time, maybe I'm not going to take it off as quickly. But, kind of like doing a phase 2 protocol instead of a phase 1 protocol, where, you might lose slower, but you have the ability to have a deviation once in a while. That worked for her. So, whatever it is that works for you, as long as you keep going down the road. So, if you take 3 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, if you continue down that path, you're still 10 steps forward at some point. So, you have to do what works for you, and having the freedom to choose is an important and powerful part about that. Okay, someone here says they set their alarm for everything. I think using a meal planning app has been helpful for me in using up food and making sure we have healthy meals. For willpower, I tell myself that if it's not in the meal plan, then don't add it to the grocery list. The app I use links my grocery list, which has been very helpful. That's awesome. Tell us what app that is. I love that it links the grocery list. Okay, Wendy, it's always amazes me how fast 30 minutes goes. Thank you for joining me. And on Thursday, what we're going to be talking about is for those people that, financially just can't keep choosing the ideal protein way. We're going to talk about phasing out and some good maintenance guidelines. So join us Tuesdays and Thursdays. We will be live through the pandemic, and invite your friends to this group that might need some coaching. So Wendy, any last words?
No, just thank you so much for inviting me to have the conversation, Renee. I appreciate everything that you're doing to keep the community healthy, and I'll be tuning in Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Awesome. Tell everybody where you're from and how to find your clinic.
Yeah, we are in Dallas. You can locate 380 Ideal Health Studio just north of Dallas in Aubrey. And we would love to help you out.
Love it. All right. I'm located in both Northern California and Southern California in Los Gatos and in Palm Desert. Come visit us if you need to. All right, Wendy, have a super, super day. And everybody, keep it real.
Yeah, hang in there.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.